Hi everyone, this is the Electric Factory on 97.4 FM, and I'm your host, William Robinson, with my co-hosts Max Chestnut and Michael Franz. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns related to the show, you can call us at 1-800-ELECTRIC. So I think we'll start us off with the Mariners trade deadline acquisitions. Michael, what do you think about them?
I think the Mariners did a pretty good job getting a few names right before the trade deadline with Matt Boyd and Kurt Casale and Jake Lamb. Jake Lamb from the Dodgers is a nice pickup. He could be used as a pinch hitter. Casale as a backup catcher because Torrens has been not very good for the Mariners this year, with Cal Raleigh being absolutely phenomenal, but he can't play every game. So, and then also the big trade that we made about a week ago was Castillo. Luis Castillo from the Reds was a very good trade. Giving up 3 top prospects was, I think, a little bit much, but I think if we can extend Castillo for a little bit, then the trade would be well worth it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that Castillo is one of the biggest deals that we've made on trade day, and him along with Matthew Boyd should really bolster the Mariners' pitching lineup. Although the only problem is that catching lineup as well, because we also got Kurt. We also lost Kurt Casale to the minor leagues and Andy Thomas in the trade where we acquired Matthew Boyd. So I feel like if it's all put on Cal Raleigh, who's been amazing, don't get me wrong, I feel like mistakes might happen like last night where we saw yesterday's game where he was catching for relief pitcher Eric Swanson, and a lot of those pitches he just couldn't block, couldn't catch, and they went behind and almost put the scoring run into third base from first on steals. So I agree that we've made a lot of gains in the pitching lineup. I think the catching lineup got hurt a little, though, overall.
Yeah, and although I feel like Kurt Casale could make a decent backup catcher, I think that's actually the main purpose for that trade. Castillo, I think, is going to mean a lot to the Mariners' playoff push this year because the Mariners, as you know, currently hold the second American League wildcard spot, and I think we're going to close out the season with that spot. And Castillo really helps with that, in my opinion, because we not only have Ray, we have Gilbert. Although Ray's fallen off a little as of late, Gilbert's a rising star, Kirby's getting better, Flexen's a decent fifth-hole starter, and with Castillo heading this rotation, that's going to be a pretty good one, probably top 10 in MLB maybe. Now, as for the before we really start to talk about the playoff push, a quick word from our sponsor, Seatown Electronics. Seatown Electronics is your main, it's going to be your main source for everything related to the electric wiring within your home. It's also, they can direct you to a nice place to buy some TV as well. So anyway, now with that out of the way, the real topic, the Mariners playoff push. Now, Max, why don't you go on about this?
Not going to happen. It seems like we do this dance every single year when the Mariners are always hovering around 500, right on the wild card lines, and then it just falls through. Haven't made it in 21 years. It's unbelievable. Worst team in baseball. But at the same time, this year's looked a little bit better. I'd like to look at last year. Last year's regular season record, 94-72.
90-72.
Yeah, 90-72. Still, even though that looks good, and it's a little bit over 500, which always seems to be this target that we set for the Mariners, it's still, we didn't make it. And I don't have any more trust in the Mariners to make the playoffs. It hasn't happened in forever.
I can feel the playoffs.
Okay, there I'm going to have to disagree. I think the Mariners are going to push through because looking at the teams around us with the Blue Jays, I think the Blue Jays definitely make it, the Mariners will make it, and the Rays will make it. I think the 3 wildcard spots currently are going to stay the same because looking after that, you have the Guardians who their pitching is very iffy. If the Mariners can just stay in one of the wildcard spots, I think we could even get to the number 1 wildcard spot based on the rest of our schedule. I think it's pretty easy for the rest of the year if we can get through the Angels and the Yankees coming up here. But yeah, our record last year was better than the Braves, who did win the World Series. Just unlucky that the AL played out to be a better conference.
Conference. Sorry.
Yeah, league.
So anyway, I get the frustration. 21 years, right?
It's long.
But the thing is, the Mariners last year, again, that was bad luck. That wasn't even a poor season. That was a really good season, and we won that without all of our deadline and offseason acquisitions. Now,
And
on
without
top of
Julio.
yeah, without Julio Rodriguez either. So, on top of all of this, we got huge offseason acquisitions. We got trade deadline acquisitions. The thing is, all of this stuff together is really enough to get the Mariners to the playoffs, in my opinion.
Looks like we got a caller.
Oh,
Hey guys, we're talking about the Mariners here. We've been talking about some trades here, and I think it's time we look back and reflect on a few past Mariners trade. Most importantly, what the team needs is a great closer going into the playoffs, and they had one a few years ago by the name of Edwin Diaz. Send him off to New York for Jared Kelenic, a guy that hasn't worked out. What are we thinking here? Was that an all-time bad trade for the Mariners? What do we need Diaz back? What do you think should be going on there?
I mean, I'd prefer if we didn't make that trade, but I feel like Jared Kelenic's not a bust yet. I'm gonna give him one more season. He gets one season, and if he still flounders in this next season, he's a bust. The thing is, though, Edwin Diaz, he is really good. But the Mariners made that trade because they weren't contending. They traded Edwin Diaz for a prospect, Jared Kelenic. And although he may not have panned out at the time, I think it was the Mets' number 1, number 3 prospect.
Yeah.
Jared Kelenic was a big name guy, and that was a serious trade. So I think the Mariners ownership did the best that they could at the time.
We did that trade, I think, because we wanted to get rid of Robinson Cano's contract. His contract was just messing our whole system up. But the Mets wouldn't just take Cano because then they would have had his bad contract. So we needed to throw Edwin Diaz into the deal. And obviously we probably didn't want to do that, but we just had to. And we'll see if Kelenic pans out this next year.
I think all you need to know about Kelenic was last night when he got pulled out for Sam Haggerty mid-game, and then first hit that Haggerty gets, he throws it into the outfield.
In Kelnic's defense, Sam Haggerty is currently hitting over 300 in a time when batting average is down.
True.
Sam Haggerty is playing insane this season,
Mm-hmm.
out of his mind. He's like, I think he should be the main Mariners bench bat, actually, in my opinion.
I agree.
I agree.
He's really
He's been
proven
on
himself.
fire.
He and Dylan Moore.
Yeah.
So, let's see. As for the Mariners' playoff push, I think for my final record projection, I'm going to say probably 93 wins. Because I think last year was luck, but the offseason and trade deadline acquisitions, Castillo, he's a big deal. With Castillo, our pitching staff is enough to get us through a 7-game series in the form of the ALCS, and it's going to be a tough battle. I personally think we're not going to go far in the playoffs. I think we're just going to make them and get eliminated either first round or in the ALDS, because we're making the wild card series. And we're probably going to end up playing the AL Central winner, I think.
Yep.
So, and the AL Central winner, I don't have much faith in them, but I don't have much faith in the Mariners in the playoffs either.
Agreed.
But with 93 wins, I think factoring in the offseason acquisitions and luck from last season, 93 wins is where I think we're going to stand, and that should be enough to get us the second wild card spot, just a couple behind Toronto.
I guess we'll
Close
see.
it out. Close it out.
All right, so this has been the Electric Factory Radio on 94.75 FM with me, Michael Franz, and Max Chestnut. See you, everyone.